Even though this is called a sauce, it's really built more like a stew. So like any other stew, we're gonna put some oil into the bottom of a Dutch oven. I'm gonna slice up an onion. And I'm gonna saute that until it gets a little bit of color. Next, I've got probably 1 kilo of beef. This is chuck steak, which has some nice marbling on it. Since this is gonna be stewed, we don't want a really expensive cut of meat. Go with something that's really flavorful, but really cheap. Cube those up, and we're gonna dump them in and start to brown them a little bit and get a little color on them. While those are going, let's dice up an eggplant. This is a medium-sized graffiti eggplant, but you can use any variety. Let's cut that into 1 centimeter cubes. Dump it in and stir it around and let it wilt a little bit. Add a few pinches of salt. Remember, when you're salting in the beginning of a dish, you can get away with using more salt than if you salt at the end of the dish. So be cognizant of that fact when you're salting. Next, I've got probably 1/2 kilo of okra that I'm going to cut into 1 centimeter segments. Throw that on in with the rest of the ingredients. Then I'm going to cover it up with probably about 1 liter of, I'm using chicken stock here just to maximize flavor, but you can use water, it's totally fine. And at this point, if you want to, you can also add in a whole fish that's been cut in half. Next, I've got a Maggi cube. This is just a standard bouillon cube that's popular throughout the world. I'm going to crush it up for easy dissolution. And stir it right in. And then we're going to cover up the pot and simmer for 20 minutes. While that's going, we're going to make a onion chili puree. So chop up an onion just enough so that the food processor doesn't get jammed up. And we're going to add in 3 habanero peppers, or you can use Scotch bonnets, anything that is pretty darn spicy. You're not going to taste the flavor of the peppers, so if you don't like spice, then you can opt for a serrano or a jalapeno. Pulse that until it's a smooth puree. Now that 20 minutes is up, you can see a lot of liquid has come out of our vegetables. So we're going to dump in the puree that we just made. And next up, we're going to add in some shrimp powder. I didn't have shrimp powder, but I had these dried shrimps in the fridge, so I'm going to throw them into a spice grinder. And blitz those until they're a nice fluffy powder. Cover it up. You can cover it partially if you want to reduce the amount of liquid that's in here. And we're going to let that go for another 20 minutes. So people with textural issues will probably want to avoid this one because, again, it is okra, but I'm sure you already know that fact and will avoid okra anyway. But this is like packed with flavor. Even though it's just a whole bunch of vegetables thrown together, sort of. The onioniness of this, which normally isn't something I would go for, it really comes through in a bright kind of way. I guess the fact that you add those pureed onions in at the end, it just brightens up the dish, since they haven't really cooked down as much as the other onions. And yeah, I mean, the beef is nice and tender. A lot of the flavor has gone into the stew rather than staying in the meat, so it's really delicate. It's not as heavy as it looks. It's just really, you know, this bright, slightly beefy, slightly vegetal sort of stew, which is super interesting. So if you love okra but you don't know exactly what to do with it, I would recommend trying this dish out. So the recipe link will be in the description below, and if you like this video and want to see more international cooking videos, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Cheers.